Hello and welcome into Teal the Show. This is not a repeat. The Jaguars lose a game after leading in the fourth quarter. This time losing to the Denver Broncos 21-17 in London. The Jaguars have now lost 5 straight, and in all 6 of their losses this year, they have been in the game with a chance to win. If you want to take some positives, that's a small positive from last year, but it's getting a little frustrating to see what's happening. Coming up, we'll hear from Frank Frangie, who's just back from across the pond. His thoughts on where the Jaguars are right now with Trevor Lawrence, how frustrated Doug Pederson is, and what they can do going forward, and how important the upcoming game against the Las Vegas Raiders will be on Sunday. But first, let's hear from some of the comments we heard from the Jaguars in London after the game. One of the real issues with this team right now is the fact that they're not delivering in the red zone, and Trevor Lawrence in particular, just too many turnovers in the red zone. When the Jaguars get in close, they've got to score some touchdowns, and more than that, points at all. We saw Trevor throw the ball ill-advised on 1st and goal from the 1, an interception. Great play made, by the way, by Justin Simmons of the Denver Broncos. But the Jaguars have to be better, have to be more efficient on offense. This is some of the growing pains of a young quarterback, and Doug Pederson acknowledged it. As a team, they have to be better when they get inside the 20.
Yeah, it's been an area that we've kind of struggled in all season. You know, we kind of pride ourselves on trying to get touchdowns, you know, and once we get into the red zone, but it's something we have to, as a staff, we really have to take a look at and make sure that we are, you know, putting our players in situations there and plays that, you know, that they can be successful in.
So there's a sense of urgency where we have to be better, and that's like you just talked about the turnover in the red zone we've had. You know, we had one last week, had another one this week, and those are just points you're taking right off the board. And
imagine this: if the Jaguars had scored a touchdown there, it's a whole new ball game. They might wind up winning the game. You could take 1 or 2 or 3 of the mistakes that Trevor Lawrence made and say, well, if they don't do that, they're going to win. By the same token, you take away some of the big plays that Travis Etienne did make, the Jaguars might not be in the game at all. Etienne had a huge game, career high, over 150 yards rushing in the first game without James Robinson. He also had more carries and more touches than he's had in his NFL career. And he was asked after the game how he was feeling.
I feel like I'm a running back, and I feel like you ask any running back that question, and we get better as the game goes because they have to tackle us. So I feel like we get better as the game goes. Our offensive line keeps rolling. I feel like throughout the game, I just kept getting better and better at just getting in that zone. And I feel like I feel great right now. I'm pretty sure I wake up sore a little bit, but that's just football. I'll do my little rehab and prehab to work on things so I could be better next Sunday.
he's continuing to show what kind of player he is and what he's going to be in this offense. And
Well, there's no doubt that Travis Etienne offers a home run just about every time he touches the ball. He can go the distance. He's got the speed. We've seen him break long runs. He had a 49-yard run in the game yesterday. He offers a completely different kind of look than James Robinson did. You have to wonder, though, if having James Robinson in the backfield for some of those 1st and goal from the 1 plays might have changed the thought and the play calling. We'll never know now that he's a New York Jet. But there's no doubt that Travis Etienne going forward is running back number 1, RB1 for the Jaguars, and they're expecting him to make some big plays in the season upcoming. As for the defense, we saw some, from time to time, pressure on the quarterback. You'd like to have seen more sacks, and maybe that's what the Jaguars need to really get things spurred on, particularly in the fourth quarter. They could not get to Russell Wilson much late. Dwan Smoot had another very good game, got in there, disrupted the quarterback in limited playing time. And Smoot said that one of the things he's hoping going forward is that the pass rush can make a difference for this team.
Definitely. I mean, we did a really good job up front, you know, but at the end of the day, like, what matters is we got to win. I mean, we can have 10 sacks out here and lose, and, you know, it won't be anything special. We have to win at the end of the day, and that's what we're trying to do, trying to change the culture.
Well, after all, changing the culture is something that has been job 1 for Doug Pederson since coming in and taking over after the failed Urban Meyer era. But if you think about it right now, while it feels like they're in a better place, certainly than they were when Meyer was let go and things were just a disaster, the Jaguars at this time last year had 1 win, and it came in London. They happened to win the following week in Week 9. So if the Jaguars come back and win against the Las Vegas Raiders next week, well, they'll be 1 game ahead of where they were basically at the same time last year. Yes, things feel like they're not crumbling and falling apart. There's still some issues as far as the Jaguars are concerned with depth. When they get an injury, Shaq Griffin suddenly changes things out on the field in the fourth quarter. They don't have a lot of depth to fall back on in most positions. We'll also see what happens coming up. Tomorrow is the trade deadline, and there's been a lot of talk about the Jaguars getting active in that regard, fielding calls. Now, whether they're hearing anything that they like for a trade remains to be seen, but there are some deals that might be struck. We'll see how different this Jaguars roster looks after tomorrow's trade deadline passes in the National Football League. All right, for now, we'll step aside. When we come back, Frank Frangie joins us. We'll discuss Trevor Lawrence, Doug Pederson, and where the Jaguars go from here. That's straight ahead as Teal the Show rolls on. Welcome back. Well, the Jaguars have done it again, losing a game that they led in the fourth quarter. It's become the storyline of the season. The other storyline of the season, clearly the quarterback. We welcome in Frank Frangie to talk about the game in London. Frank shaking off the jet lag, coming back. Hopefully this makes sense for everybody. Let's start with the close game situation. You expect that young teams and teams with young players and new staffs might have a hard time winning these close games. But boy, Frank, it seems like it's just the same thing over and over and over again. How do they get this thing turned around?
You know, Cole, when you play golf and you miss the 4-foot putt, then you're nervous you're going to miss the next 4-foot putt and the next 4-foot putt. I think until the Jags get them stopped in the fourth quarter in one of these games, it's harder to do it because you expect that you're not going to be able to do it. The best way to have success, people say learn to win. Well, learn to win means experience what it feels like to win and then do that again. I think it's a team that's a little bit nervous in those fourth quarter situations because they know they haven't come through in the past. And there's a weak area right now. Shaq Griffin's not out there. Trey Herndon's having to play. He's not a fast guy, and teams are targeting him. We've seen it twice now. Teams target Trey along that right sideline. So until you've made that big play in the fourth quarter, you're nervous you're not going to do it. And I think that's what's happening. Look, when the Jags went ahead yesterday, I think all Jag fans were excited, but oh boy, here we go again. Can we stop him this time? And if you're nervous and you're not sure you can, it's harder to do it. You've got to get that stop one time late in the game, and that makes it way easier to do it the next time. I really believe that.
All right, let's talk about the defense that had to just make that one more stop. But we've also seen Trevor Lawrence not come through in the clutch when he's had the opportunity. You know, the little bit of a touchdown drive in the fourth quarter, Travis Etienne did a lot of the heavy lifting on that drive. I think there are a lot of people concerned right now about Lawrence's progress, and I keep saying, Frank, that if this was what Lawrence did last year as a rookie, you'd kind of go, okay, rookie mistakes, growing pains, that sort of thing, which makes me wonder, either A, did last year set him back so far that he's now experiencing all these rookie growing pains this year, or B, is he way behind the curve that he should be based on not only the expectation in the draft position, but what he actually can accomplish?
Well, I think the first thing you said is dead on. This is his rookie year. I don't think he showed much growth last year, and it was going to be hard. It was a dysfunctional situation. But I still believe, I think right now what Trevor doesn't have is that knack. We're talking about the knack. I've said this before, Cole. The two things he's got to stop doing, A, missing wide open guys, and B, turning the ball over in bad circumstances, and it happened again yesterday. Look, he's doing more good than he's doing bad. He's leading touchdown drives. Say what you want about that last touchdown drive. I don't care who did the heavy lifting. He drove them down and got him in the end zone, and they took the lead. He's done that a bunch in the fourth quarter, but then he's made those critical errors. On the interception on first and goal, he's got to have better instincts, better knack, better awareness. It's first down. He said after the game, it wasn't a bad choice, it was a bad throw. Well, it was kind of a bad choice. Yeah, there might have been a little bit of a window to hit Marvin Jones Jr. in the back corner of the end zone, but it's too much of a risk on first and goal from the one. And I think when he gets older, when he's played more, he'll have better instincts. He'll have better knack to know you don't risk that. It's risk and reward. It wasn't worth the risk. It's the better situation is second and goal from the 1 yard line. So I think as he gets older, Cole, I've said this all along. I don't doubt that Trevor Lawrence is going to be a very good player. I still feel that. But the growing pains are taking longer than anybody expected. I think that's the thing. It's taking longer. I still think he's going to get there. But, yeah, those are some mistakes you don't expect to see an NFL quarterback make.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's going to get there. But probably in the last 3 or 4 weeks, for the first time, there's a little doubt creeping into my mind as to what his ceiling is going to be and when he's going to get there. Some quarterbacks take a long, long time to get there. We've seen Geno Smith this year with Seattle have a renaissance, sort of the Rich Gannon kind of breakthrough. You don't want to wait that long for a quarterback who you've spent a high draft pick on to show you. You can't afford to wait that long. So, you know, here for the next 9 games in this season, we're more or less at the midway point. What do you want to see from Trevor Lawrence? What do you have to see from him to feel good about what's going to happen in the future?
Well, I feel good about it either way. And I think the ceiling's always high when he's big, strong, rifle arm, smart, tough kid and athletic. He's got all that. So the ceiling hasn't changed. The question for me is how long will it take to get there? You made a great point on Geno Smith. What do I want to see? Eliminate the mistakes. I'll say it again, Cole. Don't miss the open guys. They're the easy ones. Don't miss the easy throws, and don't make the critical mistakes. Have the awareness to know if that play's not there, throw it out of the back of the end zone and come back to play another play. That's what I want to see happen. I think there's times that he got closer. Remember, he's had some good games where he was very efficient. I want to see more efficiency more often. I think that's coming. Don't make the big mistake. The big mistake is what he's getting criticized for, missing open guys and turning the ball over.
And I'll add to that something that I want to see. I want to see him put the team on his back for a game. I mean, he's had very good statistical games, but not games where he said, come on, guys, come with me. I'm leading you. We see that from the great quarterbacks in the league, from Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. You know, we see that happening. We haven't seen that yet with Trevor Lawrence, and I think the last 9 games of the season, I want to see that at least once, if not more than that, to really feel good about his growth and potential moving forward. You spent a lot of time talking with Doug Pederson throughout the course of the week, throughout the course of the year. Yesterday, in his post-game comments, for the first time since he's arrived here, that I sensed some real frustration from him. I think he expected to be further along with this offense, with Trevor, with the team than they are right now, even though he acknowledged from the very first time we heard his name announced as the head coach that it wasn't going to be an overnight turnaround. I think he's starting to feel a little frustration.
Well, I think what you're seeing from Doug is Coley's a competitor. He wants to win, man. This is the guy that was a quarterback all his life. He was a quarterback in the NFL, albeit a backup. He played quarterback. He's like a 3 or 4 handicap golfer. He's really good. This is a competitor. You're seeing a guy that wants to win, and the more you lose when you're a competitor, the more it wears on you. I don't think, and I talked to Doug a lot, I don't think there's any doubt in his mind that Trevor's the guy. I don't think there's any doubt in his mind this team will get there. I don't think that's just coach speak after the game yesterday when he said, I still believe and it's still going to happen. But you're seeing frustration because he's a competitor. Do I think after this team started 2-1, I think all of us, Doug included, thought this could be a pretty special year. I think everybody thought that. They blew out 2 teams who we thought at the time were pretty good teams, and they played close in the one game they had lost. And it didn't happen. I think narrow losses. But listen, I don't want to be an apologist, but there is something to these close losses and the fact that they're very close. And I think Doug sees that. I think that's why you're seeing the frustration too. Sometimes when you get blown out, you kind of resign yourself to it midway through the fourth quarter, right? Because it's, hey, we lost this one. Well, that's not happening with this team. They're grinding and they're competing and they're battling. And then at the end of the game, they're one play short. And I think that's what you're seeing on the coach's face. I don't think he's lost any confidence. In fact, I know he hasn't in his players, in Trevor. But it's frustrating that you can't get that one win they want so badly.
Yeah, frustration is the word. There's no doubt about it. All right, last thought here on the game coming up this week. We'll talk more about it as the week goes on. But with the Las Vegas Raiders, it's still hard for me to say that, the Las Vegas Raiders coming to town, if you look at the schedule for the next month and a half, there aren't a lot of easy wins on there. Go to Kansas City, you got Lamar and the Ravens coming to town. This is a very important game for the Jaguars, not just for the record, but for the state of mind of this team. And this is a winnable game for sure. The Raiders are having an underwhelming season so far. This becomes a very important game in the course of this season.
Yeah, I agree with you, Cole. When we like to look at the schedule in segments, right? Mm-hmm. And this looked like a stretch where they could get better. They were playing the Houston, who's not a good football team. They were playing Indianapolis, who they had just rolled earlier in the year. They were playing the Giants, who were surprisingly good, but a lot of people thought maybe they weren't as good as the record indicated. There were some games, Denver really was a struggling football team. This was a stretch where you thought they could make some hay because it's going to get tougher. Well, this is the last game of that stretch. I don't know if that stretch is accurate or not. That's what we all thought. But this is the last game of that. It's going to be very hard when you go to Kansas City. The Ravens are a very difficult team to play. You still got 2 games with Tennessee, who's played very well against you and is leading the division. So, yes, this is an important game. But even more than that, they just need a win, man. They just need to walk out of that stadium, walk out of that locker room, go home in the afternoon with a win, because it's been a long time, and everybody needs that from time to time. They need that more than where it fits on the schedule. They just need to know what it feels like to win a game. They work too hard to not ever get that, and I think that's why they need it badly.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, Frank, happy Halloween. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you later in the week.
Okay, Cole. Thanks, man.
That is Frank Frangie joining us here on Teal the Show. Thanks for joining us here on Teal the Show. We'll be back with more of this program coming up on Friday. Jamal will be back to preview the Jaguars getting ready to take on the Las Vegas Raiders. Till then, you can find more online on the Sports tab on news4jax.com. Have a great night, everybody.